Nigeria has occupied an enviable position in the world of football in recent time. And I must say that from political bickering to financial troubles and poor performances on the pitch, Nigerians really want more from the Nigerian Football Federation. Now, this sets the stage for the upcoming NFF elections. And where else to place the spotlight than the position of the president of the Nigerian Football Federation? Now, welcome to the presidential debate of contestants for the upcoming NFF elections organized by Arise News. I am Aaron Akirijola. I'll be your host and the surgeon to find out why these gentlemen, all cleared by the NFF Electoral Committee 2022, are seeking to be on those driver's seats. Now, our first offsite studio will have A.B. Yomo, who is monitoring our social media page, and we'll be discussing some of the questions from our followers. Now on Twitter, you can actually reach us at hashtag 2022 NFF debates. Welcome back to the presidential debate of candidates for the upcoming NFF elections. Now, for sake of clarity, let me explain that we have with us 5 candidates here in the studio, all contestants, and they are all cleared to contest these upcoming elections, who have also shown their interest to participate in this debate. While some candidates have opted out for reasons best known to them, we respect their reasons and wish them the very best of luck. For administration purpose, the contestants have been divided into several groups, but we've decided let's actually merge them together, with each having an allotted amount of time to share their knowledge, their agenda, and also answer questions on why they are seeking to be the next NFF president. Without further ado, let's meet our first participant. His name, Musa Amadu. He's a barrister at law and who also cuts his teeth in Nigeria Football Administration. He holds an international master's in law, management, and humanities of sports. He has served as a deputy general secretary, the general services of the Nigeria Football Federation, and rose to administrative height of the scribe of the Football House from 2010 through to 2015. Musa Amadu says he has a vision to restore Nigeria's football glory. The next is ex-international sports analyst and commentator, Pastor Ida Peterside, has also been cleared to contest to be the next president of the Nigeria Football Federation. Ida Peterside says Nigeria football needs surgery in 2 ways: the national team and the Nigerian league that must be fixed. Ida Peterside also pastors the Christ Ambassadors Church in Johannesburg, South Africa. I am particularly interested about his Ida Peterside's 8-point agenda to take football to the next level. Fortunately, Shea Kilme couldn't be here for personal reasons, and we do respect that. Now, away from that, let's talk about Adam Mukhtar Mohammed, who is a chartered accountant and a financial consultant. His sojourn in sports began as football license agent. His political career includes a stint as a senior special assistant to the Speaker of the Federal House of Representatives from 2011 to 2015. He also functioned as special assistant to the Senate President from 2015 to 2019. Adam is currently the chairman of the FCT Football Association. Also here in the studio with us is Dr. Christian Omeru. He is the head of safety and security of the Confederation of African Football. And at the moment, he says he wants to bring a needed change, because he says in the administration of football in Nigeria, we should all forget about seeing an improved football ecosystem if we cannot uphold the principle of meritocracy. Let's actually turn our attention to another man, David Doherty. David, I must actually say, over the years has actually ruffled feathers from social media, but he has decided to move from behind his keyboard to actually vying for a position in the Nigeria Football Federation, or what people used to formerly call the Glass House. Now let's tell you that the debate has been divided into 4 segments. In the first segment, the candidates will have 2 minutes each to tell us why they have decided to throw their hats into the ring. In the second segment, the candidates will have 2 minutes each to respond to questions collated by a panel of diverse issues on football development. Now the third segment, we'll see the candidates respond to questions generated from social media. Remember, hashtag 2022 NFF debate on Twitter. Send your questions in, and certainly you will have them answer some of those questions. Now, in the final segment, candidates will have 90 seconds for a closing remark. Now, for effective administration, we have established some ground rules, including that time limits has to be respected. Answers, rebuttals, and responses will be enforced by the moderator during this particular debate. Now, the moderator may interrupt any candidate if the moderator believes the candidate is straying away from the subject matter. Now, the candidates must not interrupt one another. It is the moderator's responsibility and discretion, not the candidates, to enforce this rule. Now we begin the debate by asking each of the candidates to tell us why they have decided to throw their hats into the ring. You have 2 minutes. 2 minutes. 120 seconds each to marshal your points. We shall begin with the former scribe of the Nigeria Football Federation, the man closest to me by my right. Then we'll take it up from there, Dr. Christian Omerua, Adam Mukhtar, we'll have David Doherty, and off Dr. Christian Omerua, and wrapping it up will be Pastor Ida Pittiside. Musa Amadu, you have your 2 minutes. Your 2 minutes starts now.
Well, thank you very much, Aaron, for having me here for this debate. It's a privilege and honor for me to be here to address issues surrounding our football and the way forward. I started working with the Nigeria Football Federation in 2007, having attained the prestigious FIFA Master's degree, the first Nigerian to have it, in law management and humanities of sport. I worked under a very competent General Secretary in Bolaji Ojoba, and in 2010 I became the General Secretary of the Federation. I was the General Secretary of the Federation until 2015, when I had to leave the Federation, and during that period Nigeria was able to get 13 continental and global trophies. We had a secretariat that was working together to deliver these trophies, and we need to bring back those good old days. So it's a progression for me, having been the most successful General Secretary, to aspire to be the President of the Federation in order to lead the new way for us to get our football right.
I want to say thank you very much, Mr. Musa Amadu, for your time here. Now let's actually move it on. David Doherty. David, talk to us.
Thank you very much for having me, Aaron. Thank you very much, Arise TV, for putting this together. My name is David Doherty. I'm the CEO of Team Nigeria UK and International, and a sport managing company based in the UK and also registered here in Nigeria. And my past, an ex-footballer, I started my football from Surulere, and I grew up playing as well in Bariga, and then moved to sign a professional contract with Concord Football Club, Abeokuta. I played in the league for some years, and then invited to the Nigerian under-20 under the likes of under the coach Tunde Disu, and then the likes of Ikedia and all that were part of the squad. And then I had an offer with Gombe United to play in the league, but I decided to move to Europe to play in Belgrade, Yugoslavia. Spent 2 years before moving to the UK to try and further. Well, back again to Nigeria, I did something around the diploma in physical and health education with late Amadou Shuaibu, University of Lagos. And then I continued my education at the Greenwich University in business administration, and then going into coaching education, owning a club, running the club for years, clubs that I've seen the likes of Akwebu doing his coaching course assessment in there, there in Southeast. And it's also a league where the likes of Ian Wright was spotted in. It's called the South Alliance League. So we've done something around that angle. We've actually, helped and nurture thousands of young Nigerians, both in diaspora. And then coming back to Nigeria, we run a sport and education program across all schools, as I'm speaking to you, in Nigeria. And then we're training coaches as well with our partners in the Premier League, Southampton Football Club. And a whole lot that we're doing, to ensure that we empower young people, we develop the game at grassroots level.
I want to say thank you very much, David, for your time. Now let's turn to Dr. Christian Emerua, because he is the head of security at the Confederation of African Football. And Doctor, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Aaron, and let me also join my co-contestants in congratulating and thanking Arise Television for putting this together. Back to the question, why do I want to run for the post of the president of the Nigerian Football Federation? I intend to be the next president of the NFF for the following reasons. First and foremost, I believe that I've passed through a journey in football that has prepared me for this position. Why do I say so? I studied sports, administration and organization up to my PhD level at the University of Ibadan. I'm privileged to have worked in Nigerian Football Federation for 11 years. I served 3 general secretaries, and I'm so honored to have one of my bosses sitting down here. I served as his special assistant to 2 of them and a personal assistant to 1 other. I have also been privileged to work with FIFA since 2015, helping FIFA to deliver 5 different World Cups, including the Senior FIFA World Cup in Russia. I'm currently the founder and the head of the Safety and Security Department of CAF. I have seen the problems of Nigerian football as an insider. I've also been privileged to see the problem of Nigerian football as an outsider, as an active observer, as a matter of fact, when compared to what is happening amongst 54 countries in Africa. And I feel strongly that I have what it takes to assist at this point in time, which is a very critical point in the history of our football, to turn things around. And I am volunteering myself to provide this service, and this is why I'm coming back home to speak to all critical stakeholders, that we can still turn around the tides, we can turn around the story of our football, but we require to have the right person at the right helms of affairs to do this.
Yeah, we know you've been canvassing around the states, all right, trying to garner support for your bid. All right, we'll be talking about that in more detailed presentations later on. Now, let's actually move on to Adam Mukhtar Mohammed. He is the FCTFA chairman. Some will say the newest member to the NFF Congress. Talk to us. Why do you want to become the NFF president?
Thank you very much, Aaron. A warm welcome to all my fellow contestants. Thank you to Arise for putting this together, because it's critical we do this. We're able to come out to tell Nigerians, to tell the world what we've done and what we plan to do to make our football better. So I'm glad to be part of a group of intellectuals that have put themselves forward. This is probably the biggest race we have, filled with competent people of good track record. So I'm glad to be in this midst. And why am I here? I would say that for the past 20 years I've been part of football, and I have contributed my quota. I have dirtied my hands. I started out as a talent developer, as a football agent, so I understand the whole ecosystem, which is the business side of football. And I've seen how the global best practices happen. And I think that the missing link in Nigerian football is largely that. And of course, you need somebody who is competent, who understands the game and has integrity and believes in transparency. Because the Nigerian government has given the enabling environment, and the missing link has to do with somebody to implement a master plan like the government has just concluded and signed off. So I think we need a partner, a person who can deliver on those things to Nigerians, a basic developmental agenda that will uplift our football from where we find it.
All right, finally, last but not the least, Pastor Ida Peterside, maybe in the near future, we'll be expected to have that doctorate behind your name very, very soon.
No,
but for now, Pastor, Talk to us.
I have a doctorate in theology.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, but
rightly
because,
so.
because we're talking football and not church now. Yeah. Again, thank you thank you to Arise, and we appreciate you guys for bringing us together, and to all the contestants here. Again, I think this is a national service, and that's why we've come out to serve. I've been around football all my life, and I played football, and I've always said when I decided to run, I'm here as a surgeon to cure an illness, and the illness that has affected our football is they're numerous. I think as we go, we'll begin to name them. I believe I can bring a change and put some things right. Things for a very long time, I would not say competence really, but for a very long time we've not had the right person or the right people to run our football. And again, not just talking about myself, for these young men that have come out here to say we really do need a change. We'll have something to bring. And the unfortunate thing is that the power is not in our hands. It's in the hands of some 44 men that are not here. But our responsibility is to let Nigerians know that we can solve this problem. I've put myself out there because I played the game, just like David is saying. And who else to understand the illness of the game than some of us that played? So I think I'm a surgeon.
All right.
That wants to bring a cure.
All right, from a doctor of theology to a surgeon. Okay, we'll be looking forward to how things will actually play out. And we'll be going on a short break. When we come back, we'll get straight into the meat of the debate today. We will be touching on 6 cardinal points, from fund generation, infrastructural development, league sponsorship, talent and coaching development, football unity, and most importantly, women's football. When we come back, you're still watching the NFF presidential debate here on the Rise News. Don't go anywhere. You're still watching the NFF presidential debate here on the Rise News, and we have some gentlemen here in the studio with us who have actually thrown their hat into the ring and have actually made their intentions known to Nigerians, to the Nigeria Football Federation, and of course, in extension to CAF and FIFA, that they want to become the next president of the Nigeria Football Federation. We know how important football is to Nigeria's ecosystem, and we have actually outlined 6 topical issues that we will be taking or we'll be running through with this gentleman today. And more importantly, we will not be doing it in any particular order, as a matter of fact, as we want everyone to get a piece of some of the major questions and burning questions that certainly ails or probably ails Nigerian football. And while we're on a short break, the man close to me, the gentleman close to me, Mukhtar, has actually spoke about the fact that court cases, litigations, time and time again, has plagued Nigerian football, and more importantly, almost threatened to cripple Nigerian football at several different points in time. And the question I'll be throwing to you, and also asking Dr. Christian Omera, because you have been with the Nigeria Football Federation for over a decade, and you've seen things play out both from the outside, both from the inside, where you were the Nigeria Football Federation, and from the outside with CAF. Talk to us about this. Now, a lot of people say that over the years, court cases and the bickerings have actually slowed down the development of Nigerian football. But if you're given the opportunity to become the president of the Nigeria Football Federation, how would you resolve the long-running feuds, and how would you seek to reunite the footballing family? As a matter of fact, there is a court case hanging in the air as we speak that seeks to stop the NFF election from holding on the 30th of September, which is next week Friday. Let's start with you, Mukhtar.
Well, thank you, Aaron. It's the question of court cases bedeviling our football. It's a big problem that we really have to solve. And we have to look at it from the side of the fact that we need to move football forward in an inclusive manner in which all the parties, all the stakeholders are carried along. a situation where some stakeholders are aggrieved and they feel highly aggrieved without any internal mechanism for them to be able to ventilate their grievances as provided for in NFF statutes and FIFA and the Court of Arbitration for Sport, then you leave them with no choice but for them to go to the courts. And sadly, this has been playing out for so long in our football. And we just have to get things right and ensure that the Congress of the Nigeria Football Federation is a body that carries everybody along, and it is set up in a democratic manner in which the football associations, the leagues, the players' union, the coaches' union, and the referees' union are given equal opportunity, not only in terms of elections, but also in terms of driving policies that will help Nigeria football.
Okay.
Now, I need to say that there's a provision in the statutes of the Nigerian Football Federation that prevents people from going to court, and they need to use the National Arbitration Tribunal that is supposed to be set up by the NFF. If that body is set up and everybody signs off that he is not going to go to court, and that body is functional, it will deal with all disputes between the NFF, players, coaches.
All right, Barrister Samadu, for the brevity of time.
I'm sorry, but this is really the reason why we have these court cases, and we just have to get it right. And the only way we can do that is to have a proper arbitration tribunal that is functional and listens to all the grievances of all the parties concerned.
All right, okay, I mentioned you, Dr. Christian Emera. Please, do you share his opinion, or do you have a contrary view in uniting the footballing family here in Nigeria? Because time and time again, court cases always raise its ugly head.
Well, I think I share in most of the things that he has said. But also in addition, I think it is important for the NFF as a body to have a well-defined structure where people can air their grievances. We have it. We have the disciplinary, we have the appeals board, but how independent are these bodies, to give justice to people who are aggrieved? Okay? Other things that I have seen from experience, why people are so aggrieved apart from the fact that they feel excluded, is the fact that those who are responsible in running our football are not honest. You enter into an agreement with people and you renege. And this, of course, will bring people back to the courts because this is the only way they can ventilate their anger. So we need a system whereby people should be honest in whatever agreements that you reach with people. And of course, as my former boss said, you also need to have the inclusiveness of everyone. Football is big enough for everybody in Nigeria. We should not have it for a few at the expense of the others. Everybody has a role to play in Nigerian football, including the players' union. So we should include everybody to be partners in progress. Partners in progress,
you say. I'll take you up on that. Now let's turn to something that divides opinion here in Nigeria. And I'll be having either Peter Side and David actually talk on this point and give us their opinions about this. And if given the opportunity, how will they rectify this ill? Now talking about talents and coaching development in Nigeria. Please, can you help us settle the age-old question of which is the best coach, or who should be the best coach for Nigeria? Is it a local-based coach or a foreign-based coach? And talk to us about your plans to develop football here in Nigeria. You've got 60 seconds to make it happen.
I think it starts with, we'll talk about structuring and restructuring. You need leadership, and you need a leader that has a vision. I've always said, I have a diagram in my manifesto that it's like a pyramid scheme, and it starts from bottom to the top. When I played, I've always referenced that when I played. I still remember in 1992, it was Christian Chukwu that recommended me, and it was so easy for me to walk into the national team. We must go back to this grassroots. I've seen people mention what I'm saying, but how to build it. If we empower the state FAs, genuinely empower the state FAs, and tell them to go back and develop from the grassroots, have tournaments. Well, in Port Harcourt, we had what we call the DAFA League. And in those DAFA League, it was like a breeding ground for the state teams. And from the DAFA League, I went to play for Sharks. And from Sharks to Rangers, then to the national team. We must empower them. And when we have this empowerment from underneath, and these players from 15, 16, like what he's doing, we begin to raise them, groom them, that when they are recommended to the national team, when they are brought to the national team, they have gone through their paces, 4 years and 3 years of development. That if someone calls me from Bauchi and say,
all right, wrapping it up, because of time, now the question, a foreign-based or a local-based coach?
I think this question cannot be answered directly, because it depends on the situation you find yourself. We will equip the local coaches, send them on courses, make sure they are affiliated to some national teams, to some club size, to gain experience. Having degrees and this book thing is necessary, but it's different from being practical. So we'll spread them, or most times bring top-class coaches into the country to make sure they are developed. But who coaches the national team? For me, it depends on what we're going to. We have Pesero now. He's won 3-4 games. You just can't remove him because you are the next president. There are contracts to be signed. We'll look for the very best to handle our national team.
All right, David. He mentioned you are a developer of young talents in the UK. Talk to us about this. If given the opportunity, what would you do in terms of coaching and also in terms of youth development?
Yes, I will agree with what Mr. Peter said I just said. Looking at the grassroots, let me quickly, move away a bit from the beginning. Like I said, change is one of the reasons why, I put myself into the race. Change in the way we do things in an analog way, and trying to, play the players, putting them at the bottom of the log. And now coming back to talent on, coach development. Yeah, we have a lot of talents across all boards, both in Nigeria locally and also in the diaspora. So when you say I've been developing talents in the UK, yes, one, but don't forget Nigeria, we've been doing massively over the course of 15 years. Why do I say so? Coach education is very, very important in anything you want to do. Coaches are like teachers. So it's what you input, what you put in them, what you invest in them that will make them carry out the best, tactical and coaching training sessions with these young people. So it's very, very important that we ensure that we have, a continuous, development when it comes to coaches. Don't forget coaches as well as referee. All these things are very vital part when it comes to football development. Now, why do I say so? We've been doing something around coaching courses for a long time here in Nigeria. And we've had, an extensive discussion with the English FA, who I believe are the best when it comes to development and coaching and everything that's to do with football. The FA has been the best. Our discussion has been on an advanced level. So bringing in the likes of Southampton is also to look at how we can develop, coaches to train and learn how to, teach young people the Southampton way. Just recently, we had 27 coaches just finish their level 1 coaching course, which is the introduction to coaching, and then they will get their accreditation when Southampton comes in next week in Abuja. Yeah.
All right, doing great things, David, I must say. Well, you didn't answer the question about foreign base, but for the brevity of time.
Let me quickly drop that in. I'm a big fan. Like you said, I'm not a social media person. You just see me use that. Because, listen, part of the work that I do, it's voluntary. Our organization is registered in Nigeria as being a charity.
David,
just hold on.
Foreign base or local base, we don't have the time.
I'll do that. Local base has always been, I've always been a fan of that. I've always been an advocate of that. It's what you put in. The guys coming from Europe are not superb.
Thank you very much.
So we need to develop ours.
All right, thank you very much. Now, Adam Mukhtar and Dr. Christian Omero, you'll be answering these questions in regards to funds generation. As we know, of course, funds are the lifeblood of the Nigeria Football Federation, and hence the success of any administration is actually judged by the ability of any administration to be able to raise funds for the Federation and its activities. Talk to us, if given the opportunity, what will you do to ensure that the Nigeria Football Federation does not return to the state whereby they go cap in hand, begging for funds to execute projects, tournaments, and other activities? Let's start with you, Adam Mukhtar.
Thank you very much, Aaron. I think we all agree unanimously that football is a business, but probably in Nigeria we haven't caught up with that reality yet, because you need a lot of money to develop infrastructure, a lot of money to develop talent, to invest in coaches, in refereeing, in health and safety, in education, in facilities, in management of football on its own. So, and if you look at the current structure as it is, the NFF is the main center of attraction, which it shouldn't be. The product, the brand, which is the national teams, the players, the coaches, should be in the forefront. Like I always say, who cares who is the FA president in England? Because the players are the main attraction. That is the unique selling point. That is what the fans want to see. That is what TV wants to see. So I'll take you quickly. If you look at the ecosystem of, say, the Premier League, which is currently #1 in the world, and that is the #1 brand that Nigerians love to watch, and even on a global level, you'd see that it's all about money. The change starts with media, with TV. The TV rights is the biggest contributor to the clubs in terms of football economy, and then the clubs pay the players from this income, and then the transfer fee comes behind, so I fully understand this ecosystem because I've been part of it. Right. I have developed players, I've sold them to Europe, I've made money out of that, I've reinvested in football, and I know what is required. And then going to the federation, why you need a different type of leadership and a mindset is someone that comes into the NFF with that mindset of football being a business and wanting it to be free from government contributions. How do you do that? You do that by putting up a solid structure foundation with experts to develop football, the image. First, it's the PR. NFF needs to be redone. People need to perceive it. Like you said, there's issues about court case, about infractions, about lack of development. And so this is all part of the process that people are agitating, that you see people wanting to air their grievances in different forms because there hasn't been progress. There hasn't been success. And football is a physical game that you need to see the success being translated for people to be happy to put their money in. And once they put their money, they want to see that value. They want to see something. And you have to be accountable and you have to give that transparency when they give you their money. And you have to show what you've done with it. And it has to translate into success for everybody. So I think brands want to associate with something that is successful.
All right. Associate with something that is successful. Dr. Christian, we've actually had this discussion time and time again. People have spoken about this. While you're at the NFF, I'm sure you understand that the government certainly bankrolls Nigerian football. In the UK, the government bankrolls sports in the UK. Talk to us in regards to funding, marketing the Nigerian Football Federation, that they can begin to become fully self-sustaining. What is the way out of where we are right now?
Let me start by saying that for you to be able to market Nigerian Football Federation, you need to first organize Nigerian Football Federation. You cannot have a land and expect to have tenants without building the house. I'm not an expert in marketing, but I'm an expert in administration, okay? My job and my responsibility will be, 1, to change the governance structure of Nigerian Football Federation. 2, to change how football is organized, because you need to package your product properly for it to attract investors. My job is to make sure that when people sit at home to watch the Nigerian football being played at any league, they see green pitches, they see pitch panels, they see proper organization of football. People can go to the stadium without being harassed. People can get out, park their cars, and things are safe. People can be able to use the toilets in the stadiums, and it is clean. People can be able to sit down conveniently with their families, and then the story will change.
But where does this money come from?
I am going to tell you where the money comes from. If you don't organize your events, you give opportunities for loopholes. I take, for example, we want to organize a match. If you don't get stewards, you get the police, conventional police, to come and do security, you are wasting your time. But if you get stewards that you are going to pay, they will block all the loopholes where people normally jump through to come in, and you'll be able to get money from your ticketing. I hear a lot of people talk about funding, and I say to them that as a student of management, funding is the last thing that comes. The first thing that you have to talk about is planning. What is your plan? What is your program? After this, then you start talking about what you need to implement this plan before you talk about the cost implications. I called Total in France and I said I want to run for the post of the president in Nigerian Football Federation. Total has been sponsoring CAF for many years. Total has been working in Nigeria for many years. But the NFF has nothing to do with Total. They booked an appointment with me to meet with the MD of Total. And I discussed with the gentleman. I said, I have a program to have 6 NFF academies across Nigeria.
Right. Wrapping it up?
Yeah, and he said to me that this is what they are doing in Senegal because it falls under their CSR. So whoever wants to bring money into the NFF must be ready to plan the NFF very effectively and also be able to provide proper governance structure. Then you give the NFF to experts to market. It is not my job as president to market the NFF. It is my job to organize the NFF so that it will be sellable by the marketers that will get engaged.
Thank you very much. Now, we'll be moving on. You mentioned, Dr. Christian, you mentioned infrastructural development. Now, we want to focus on that, and let's actually chime into that particular segment. And Barrister Musa Amadu, you'll be helping us out with this, and Pastor Deputy Side also. Now, according to the survey, of course, when you look at the number of stadiums to a country's population, the United States has a ratio of 1 stadium to about 200,000 people. In the UK, it's about 1 stadium to about 400,000 people. In Nigeria, it's, I think, about one stadium to over 2 million people. And we've seen this thing happen time and time again. That's for the stadiums that are functional and are usable. If you become the Nigeria Football Federation's president, what would you do to help revitalize those dead stadiums, and what would you do to ensure that you close the gap and ensure sports is accessible to everyone?
Okay, Aaron, let's take it from the grassroots. Let's take it from the states. And we have a 10-year football master plan, which was put together by the federal government of Nigeria. And this document, it wants to build infrastructure in all the local government councils. Monies will be invested for stadia, playing pitches. It doesn't really matter when you are at the grassroots, the sort of facilities you provide, but you must provide those facilities for young boys and girls to play the game. And it is only where we are able to encourage pitches in all the local governments, in all the states, in all the schools, that we will begin to give a room for everyone to be able to play the game. Some kids play the game just for fun, but there are also kids that want to develop their game. And if they don't have these facilities, they don't have playing pitches, they don't have good equipment, they don't have balls to play with, we will not get it. And let me come to the question of the Premier League and other clubs in Nigeria. The club licensing requirements are there for you to be able to get those playing pitches to the standard that is needed by Nigerian football and to the standard that is needed by CAF. But we're only paying lip service to these provisions in the club licensing system. So we must ensure that in doing these facilities for our professional clubs, that those criteria in terms of infrastructure, which we are talking about now, must be put in place.
Okay, wrapping it up.
Any club that is not up to that level of requirement would just have to go back and, go and do their homework.
All right, Pastor, you are based in South Africa, and certainly the bridge is even closer, and the divide is actually even smaller when you look at it in terms of pitch by population ratio. Talk to us about it.
I'm not sure any NFF president or any NFF can build any structure or build a stadium. It's not possible. There are too many things to do. I think this is the responsibility of government. And but because we are producing, there are club sites that are coming from states, like we said of the club licensing. There are venues. I went to Port Harcourt the other day and I saw a pitch they were playing on. I'm like, you can't be playing on a pitch like this. Who allowed you? Who permitted you? Government have provided some few pitches, but our responsibility is to make sure we put our foot down that these pitches must be in immaculate state. If we want to bring television can show pitches with loopholes. We can build stadiums. I'm not sure enough of us can build the stadium, but there are available stadiums. Our responsibility is to put our foot down and say, can't we, as a club side, let's say a club side decides to use the national stadium, their responsibility is to make it workable. The grasses must be in top shape, and we'll have assessors. These assessors will come and make sure that if your pitch is not as it should be. We will not allow you to play games there. Now, when we put pressure on this club size, like I said, we must come back to this grassroots. If you have local FS can build a magnificent stadium, but they can fix a pitch. We are young ones. They don't need a 30,000 stadium. They need a pitch where they can run around. But if the grasses are good, we come back to the FA chairman and we give them money. And say, make sure in Venice, fix secondary school pitches. Prepare them for students to play on. You know, I think that's what is done around the whole world. And when you come big time, national teams, then I would say these are national stadiums where national teams can play, and not what we saw when we played against, was it Ghana or what country we played about? It was a mess.
All right.
Yeah, so that's what we do. We make sure that we take it from bottom to the top.
All right, thank you very much. We'll be going on a quick break. When we come back, we'll be asking individual questions, and we'll be talking to several of these candidates that are vying for the post of the president of the Nigerian Football Federation. You're watching here on Arise News, the NFF presidential debate. Don't go anywhere. You're still watching the 2022 NFF presidential debate here on Arise News. And I have with me here, starting off from my right, we have David Doherty, Barrister Musa Amado. On my left, Pastor Ida Peterside, Dr. Christian Omerua, and Adam Mukhtar Muhammad. And at this moment in time, we will be asking personal questions because we had an editorial team sit down to look at critical issues and look at the candidates closely and find out some will say question marks, some will say reservations, and we've drawn up quite a number of them, and we'll be asking each, and you'll be given 2.5 minutes to probably respond to these questions. I'll be starting it off from I hope say doctor, but Pastor Ida Peterside. Pastor, ex-players are often criticized as armchair critics instead of playing active roles in football development. Over the years, we've seen this play out. Talk to us. What would you have done? What have you done since you retired from football to actively advance sports development, football development here in Nigeria? And also, talk to us. What have you done generally to advance the game?
Well, when we talk about football development, there are some people that are little-minded, that want us to, I need to go get an academy and start from there. That does not really mean that you are contributing because you have an academy. There are some people that can play this thing at a different level. Like again, I said, when in 2010, I was in charge of all the camping and everything Nigeria did at the World Cup. I participated fully in that. I've been helping club sites arrange meetings for them in South Africa where they can come develop themselves. So different kinds of development. But anyway, I still run a team in Port Harcourt for the last 15 years. You know.
What's the name of the team, please? What's the name of the team? So we can fact check.
Yes, you check. You see, in developing football, in contributing, and again, I'm in media, so everyone has a different department. He's playing his own role. I'm in television. I was media officer of the Super Eagles. These are roles, you know. Some are in coaching. I'm not in coaching. I talk. That's my own contribution to football. But again, I want to change. Listen, I want to come back to what I want to do. I want to change the narrative of people not being transparent when they run organizations. I asked the question the other day. We just signed a contract with Nike. Maybe Amado would tell us how they used to do it. We signed the contract with Nike, and they say we've signed a 4-year contract with Nike. No one is telling us what Nike is giving to us. No one is telling us what we are bringing in. When we talk of transparency, these are little things we tweak here and there to make the organization. There's no transparency in our organization. So therefore, if I'm allowed to lead the Nigerian Football Federation, firstly, will bring leadership. It is so important. Everything starts and ends with leadership. Chris just said so. You must be able to be in charge and direct.
Wrapping up.
So it is important that we bring different kinds of contribution. It could be administrative, it could be coaching, but I've done media, I've owned a team, I've been a consultant. So I've given a whole lot into this game.
All right, giving a whole lot. Okay. Thank you very much for that answer. Dr. Christina Mera, we'll turn to you. They say charity begins at home, and despite your contributions to safety and security in the Confederation of African Football, some would say you've not been able to help Nigeria's footballing security infrastructure to get better. We still see referees being beaten. We still see people getting maimed in stadiums. Talk to us about this. You've done so much in CAF, but they say your footprint in Nigeria is very, very, very faint.
Well, thank you. And I think because some of us are administrators, we don't blow our trumpets about what we do in Nigeria. I'll give you a short example of what we did just a few years back. When I say few years, less than 2 years ago. When I was in the Nigerian Football Federation, don't forget, I was already working for FIFA, and my boss can testify. We wrote severally to the Nigerian Premier League that we want to organize training program for safety and security officers in each of the Premier League clubs. They never ascended to this. When I was fortunate to be appointed as the head of safety and security department in CAF, the first thing I did, apart from the normal operations that we had to activate, don't forget it's a new department, was to carry out a pilot program to train 12 countries. We call it Intervention Safety and Security Training Program for Premier League club safety and security officers. And Nigeria was among those countries. We trained in Nigeria 20 persons, one from each of the Premier League clubs. Till today that I speak to you, the guys that were trained in Nigeria still send messages to me that nobody gives them opportunity to function. Whereas in countries like Uganda, they have gone further. They are training stewards as we speak. Senegal has trained over 600 stewards. They've kicked out police from managing their leagues. Uganda has kicked out police from managing their leagues from the same people we trained. South Africa already have people that are paid as security officers for clubs. So if you're asking what I have done to my country, my question is, haven't trained 20 people, one in each Premier League club. Will I come from Cairo to force them to work when they are refused to work? Another thing, we have 49 CAF safety and security officers. Nigeria has one of the largest numbers, 4 of them. Out of these 4, 3 are in the NFF. 3. These 3, we send them out to other countries to work. But in Nigeria, they are never given opportunities to work. In the NFF there. They are organizing international football competitions. These people are not given full opportunities. Only one of them, and one man cannot do anything. I'm telling you the truth. We have 3 of them that are trained there, but they're never given opportunities. So if we don't come to the pages of newspaper to say we are doing this for Nigeria, doesn't mean we are not doing anything. We are doing a whole lot. But as I said, people should be dedicated and sincere to perform and not pay lip services.
All right. Thank you very much. Now let's turn to Adam Mukhtar Mohammed. They say you were elected chairman of the FCTFA in 2019, and you are yet to complete your first term in office. And as the newest member of the NFF board, your experience has been called to question because you say you're vying for the highest office in Nigerian football. And more importantly, they say that the fact is out there. You rarely attend NFF congresses up until when you made your intentions not to run for the president of the Nigerian Football Federation. You never used to show up for the congresses. They say you're very distant from them.
Thank you very much, Aaron. I really love the question. Why? Because, a correction, I'm not a member of the NFF board. I'm part of the Congress.
Yes.
Which usually the Congress is an annual meeting to decide very important decisions. Mm-hmm. And I have been on saddle 3 years, and I think COVID took 2 years out of us. So that answers that part of your question. But importantly, Nigerians like doers, not talkers. We talk a lot in Nigeria. I like to work. I like to get my hands dirty. And that's what I've been doing. Nigerians want to see talent being developed. And that requires you going to every part of the country to do that and ensure that they grow into the national team and give Nigeria success. Because really the teams are the focus, but we always focus on things that are unimportant. So going to the Congress meeting, if I don't feel you give me enough invitation on time with an agenda, I will not go. If you're not,
these are the people that will vote you if you are to become president
no, but
of the Nigerian Football
that is
Federation.
not what decides who gets voted in. We need to decide on issue-based things and competence. Someone who has the capacity to do the job.
All right.
And as in my 3 years of the FCT, go and check all the promises I made. I said we're going to bring the Super Eagles back to Abuja. It's been done. I said we're going to develop facilities. We have developed facilities. In fact, we have a brand new facility in one of the area councils, a mini stadium, which will go a long way to develop football around the 6 area councils of Abuja. I said we're going to develop manpower. We've developed over 120 coaches with certification from the NIS and various other. I said we're going to bring international partnerships. We brought Bayern Munich, and we did a program, and it has resulted into huge success by one of the players being signed by Bayern Munich on a professional contract. So I think by far I am the best FA chairman currently in the Congress.
Okay, if you say so. Yeah. Now let's turn to you, Barrister Musa Madu. Now you have been described by board members and ex-colleagues as being arrogant. How do you seek to improve your working relationship if you're elected president of the Nigeria Football Federation? Now remember, these questions were collated by a group of editors and certainly not personal opinions. Let's hear it from you.
No, I don't think, Aaron, is a question of arrogance. It's a question of knowing what you can do and deliver and ensuring that the right thing is done by everybody, including the president, including the board members, including the secretarial staff, and making sure that people do the things in the right way. I am not arrogant. I am very open to the whole members. If you ask the press, when I was the general secretary, my door was open. I answer every call that comes into my phone. I work and treat the State Football Association chairman on an equal basis. They are partners. They are not the master-servant relationship we have now. So it's not a question of arrogance. I listen to all suggestions, and you can ask Dr. Christian when he worked for and with me that if he brings in a superior argument with regard to what we need to do to better administer the game at the secretarial level, which is the engine room of the Federation, I always listen. We worked together collectively. It was not a one-man show. It was a show that brought in everybody so that we can work and deliver. And that is why we were able to deliver 13 trophies. Now we need to have someone who is at the helm of affairs that knows what has to be done. I've been there. I've administered the game at the federation level in terms of the general secretariat. And we need to build that confidence in everybody. Everybody, we need to now remove this image where people see the NFF as a disorganized, incompetent, ineffectual, organization that is corrupt. And we need to make sure that we do it in a transparent and open way. Okay. I am not arrogant. I don't think that can be ascribed to me, Aaron. Right. And even when you were also here in Abuja working, you can walk right into my office without any problem whatsoever.
Dr. Christian, maybe not an answer, but is he arrogant? Okay, no. It's just a poser there. Let's move on to David.
My boss was never arrogant. It was just a straight shooter,
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now let's talk to David Doherty. David, now your critics say you are vastly inexperienced and unqualified in terms of your resume to contest as president of the Nigerian Football Federation. Talk to us about this. Is this true?
I think it's all something to laugh about anyway. At least they've called me several names, social media man and all that. It's because, like I said, you don't need to talk too much about what you do. Let your work do the talking. Like I said, I've played the game as a player. I have that experience. I've coached it with the best FA in the world, which is English FA. And also, recently I even went into refereeing to understand what it is, the dynamics within how these guys, why they do things that they do. And then now administering the game over the years. Many people don't know me. They thought maybe I just jump on the ladder. I've actually volunteered to carry bags for the likes of the showroom and all that, learning how it is, how all these things works within the national team. Now, coming back to the experience-wise, I think I've packed a lot of experience from all these things that I've done over the years. Now let's come back to Nigeria. I want to leave the UK alone, leave the Europe alone. Let's come back to Nigeria and look at what we've done. Now, what I've done over the years with my team is that to build a brand. The brand is simply Team Nigeria UK. And then what are the products? The products are Sports Edu Plus, Sports Education and Plus. You see the Plus, Plus, you see on that brand, comes with a lot of things.
Wrapping up.
Now, please allow me to finish this. Okay. So what we understand is football, everybody is playing. We're doing all we can. But we need to understand that football does a lot outside the game itself. Be it a footballer, what else do you want to do outside the game? How can we create jobs with it? That's what we are doing. Creating jobs in terms of coaching, creating jobs in terms of refereeing, bringing people to work within our organization across all board. Like I said to you, every of our products or our projects in schools, we've been employing Nigerians across all board. So what I would say to people is experience. Right? I think I've got what it takes to be at this seat.
Okay, he says he's got what it takes to be at this stage. You're still watching the 2022 NFF presidential debate here on the Rise News. We'll be going on a short break. When we come back, we'll still be talking to the gentleman, David Doherty, Barrister Musa Amadu, Pastor Ida Pitusai, Dr. Christian Emerua, and Adam Mukhtar Mohammed. And we'll be centering on the league and not forgetting women's football. When we come back, don't go anywhere. You're still watching the 2022 NFF presidential debate here on the Rise News. I have some gentlemen that have shown that, or have rather said that they can lead Nigerian football to its El Dorado. And they've actually thrown their hats into the ring. They've been cleared by the Nigerian Football Federation. Now all that is left is to see if they can garner enough votes to become the next president of the Nigerian Football Federation. We've been talking about topical issues concerning Nigerian football and things that have ailed the game here in Nigeria. And one of them has been the league. People have wept over this. People have sobbed over this. The Nigerian league, now I'm talking about the extensive cadre of the leagues, have actually suffered decadence over the years. And I will take it off from this particular point. I want to talk to Mukhtar and Pastor Ida Pitusai concerning the league. Now, when people say that the Nigerian league is arguably at an all-time low, with no official broadcast sponsor, indigenous company opting to invest in foreign leagues and other questionable issues. Talk to us. What are your plans to develop the Nigerian league system? Talking about the Nigerian league from top to bottom, the Professional Football League, NLO, League One, and the rest of them.
Very good question. I feel the league is it's as important as anything. It's the bedrock of football development. Why do I say that? Because they are the structures that people see across their communities and states that they support, and that's the economy that's being created from the leagues, from merchandise, from fan support, from sponsorships, and it all starts from the grassroots. So when you talk of the league, you're talking of the Premier League, the National League, the Amateur League, the Female League, and school sports as well even comes under that. I think we lack a plan. There's no roadmap, because once you ask questions about, so what is the structure, like we talked about the club license, it's missing. So we don't have a document that guides everything. And the ownership of these clubs are government, state-owned ownerships, which are being run by civil servants who don't understand the business of football and how football management is done globally, global best practices. So I feel that is a flawed structure, and they don't have any KPIs to keep them on track, to ensure that they perform, they come out with a profit and ensure the players' welfare. The league it's a total mess, Aaron, because when you look at it, match commissioners haven't been paid for 3 years. referees haven't been paid for 2 years. How do you expect the league to, players are not paid properly?
So how do you remedy all this is the big question.
So it's a total overhaul, and it's a commitment from leadership, which it starts from the NFF. There must be a commitment to ensure. And how do we even run a league without sponsorship? It's unheard of. You can't even do it. So as is, the league is in a comatose situation, and we've seen government intervening by disbanding the LMC because of questions about how it's even structured. So you can see, Aaron, right from the foundation of it, there's actually nothing. So right. I feel that we need to do a holistic, like my friend the surgeon has said. I think it has cancer and it needs cutting off. And yeah.
Okay, absolutely. So let's come to the surgeon, talking about Pastor Ida Petiside. Talk to us about the league. You've seen the South African league, the PSL, up close and personal with your time in South Africa. Looking at juxtaposing it with what we see here in Nigeria.
We will manage the league. The NFF should be able to oversee the league. What we must do, you have to give the league to a competent company to run. It must be well run, professionally run. You see, I've asked a lot of questions, and I've asked why don't we have television? I had to talk to a company, maybe the one that I work with, and they said, we don't trust anyone. If we give them the money, they'll chow it. We were paying, and they gave us a different account to pay the money to that account. And we said, no, by our contract, we need to pay here. Therefore, we will not deal with corruption. You have to be transparent. If anyone brings money into the league, they have to be confident that the money will be utilized. So what we do, we get a company, a professional company, to run the league on behalf of the NFF. What happens if money comes in, you pay a percentage. Whichever company is running the league will pay a percentage to the NFF, because we must oversee them. Then you have a separate company of referees that run the referees. These referees, say 60 of them, professional referees. The sponsorship money will be shared, where the referees will have their own share of the money, where they can be independent. No, you're looking for a solution.
Yes, we're looking for a solution. So let's get to the solution.
Not just to talk. We're looking for a solution. Now, when things are properly done, the monies have been distributed whatever way it goes. Do you know in the last 5 years, clubs have not been given money? Clubs. No, even the money comes, it must be distributed. And we will appeal to government to take their hands off the league. Just go. And any team that cannot run itself, we disband them.
All right. Thank you very much. Now, let's go to a very important subject in sports, women football. Right now, it's garnering quite a lot of attention globally, and Nigeria seems to be lagging behind in this particular trend. Some would say that the religious factor plays a huge role in the development of women football. But Dr. Christian and David, I want to hear from you. The poor performance of the Super Falcons at the last Nations Cup best explains the fear that Nigeria has lost its ground in the once-dominated women football in Africa. What are your plans to take women's football to the summits in Africa? Let's start with you, Dr. Christian.
Well, if I am elected as the president of Nigerian Football Federation, I want to make it very clear that women football will be one of the top priority area of my administration. Because world over, apart from the US, if I'm not mistaken, member associations have to factor in women football development funds in their marketing strategy. And when they get this from their global sponsorship funds, they channel it to women football. I took a time to study what was done in Morocco. As we speak today, Morocco Football Association pays the salaries of all the players and coaches in the Women League in Morocco. Why? Because they had factored this as part of their global funding project when it comes to their sponsorship deals. So for me, strongly, I would want to see a women football development program that is holistic and nationalistic in nature. We don't have any grassroots football that is dedicated to identifying young girls and encouraging them to play football. Our coaches, as you know, in the last 5 years have not been certified by CAF in any way. I'm talking about male coaches, not talking about specialized coaches for women. Morocco, as we speak, houses their girls, accommodates them, feeds them, take them to school and bring them back. And look at what they are playing. South Africa, as we speak, has a company that is taking care of Bayana in all their expenses. So why can't we just cross over and borrow a leaf to see how things are done above, and then we bring it into our own countries, you know? So there's a whole lot that we can do if we put our mind to doing the right thing, you know? And there is a whole lot of people out there
Thank you very much,
that have solutions to these problems that we can pick up their brains.
All right, we are gradually hitting the crescendo, but before then, we'll still touch on some topical issues. But David, let's get to hear from you. Nigeria, the Super Falcons, the most successful team. Now, note, male or female, the most successful team in Africa. 9-time champions. Talk to us right now. They are at the lowest ebb. How do you seek to revive them?
I think first thing is for us to look at what we actually want when it comes to football. Are we just a success-driven country, or we're looking at development as a whole? Because if you look at all these teams that, all these countries that Dr. Meru mentioned, it boils down to the grassroots. It boils down to what they've been putting in, what they've been injecting in, the investment they've been putting in. Now, coming back to school games, community games, you have to create an environment where, you know, girls will want to play football. Participation is first thing that we need to look at. How can we increase it? So we need, going back to the to structures and all that, we need, you know, mini pitches around where, you know, girls can play football, where they can be seen as part of the community and not just being put, you know, at the back of the log. Also, we have to look at, like I said to you, engaging in cup tournaments and, you know, school tournaments in school across. Like I said to you, we launched a pilot program of a league in 2015 here in Abuja. It was meant to be in Lagos at the same time as well, but we had a delay there. So we ran it here in Abuja, you know, across school, just to see how it works. We had, you know, match commissioners that were paying about 5,000 naira for each match at about 8 centers. So these are things we did on our own, but there's a lot that we can do in terms of developing women's football. We look at, you know, bringing in sponsorship, bringing in partners. They're very, both locally and internationally. We have individuals that wants to probably invest or sponsor, you know. Look at the pyramid when it comes to Indian football. You look at the rival leagues, the conference league. Ask yourself, how do they survive, you know, staying in the league? How do they manage to keep their teams afloat? So what they do is, please, I think I'll probably need to keep that, but also is to have probably having an organization or body to sponsor, you know, a particular set of players. And that way it keeps, you know, the funding going in. And we need to do the same thing when it comes to women's football. Women's football, like you said, is growing fast. We need to do more. As a country, we need to impact more. We need to let these women not just play in the game, also put them in front leadership. We don't have, listen, women are part of those that make what our organization is doing today. So we need more women into leadership. We need more women being the front face of this league. Say, for example, the likes of Australia, the Desire. They can also be an ambassador and a campaigner for this league to encourage more young girls to get into football.
All right, encourage more young girls to get into football. Gentlemen, we have hit that point whereby we'll be giving each contestant or probably candidates 90 seconds to give their final salvo. We'll start it off from my far left, talking about Adam Mukhtar Mohammed. Let's get to hear from you. 90 seconds and no more.
Will that be enough to say all I've done? But anyway, I'll try and summarize it. So I come here today to come with a sincere conviction that my heart bleeds where we find our football. I'm a huge investor of Nigerian football. I've given my life to Nigerian football, and I can't see me changing or moving any other place at the moment. I've invested in young people. I've seen them from nothing become something, and I've seen the difference. I have been a disruptor of the system because of how my heart bleeds with the league. I have changed in the last 15 years. I've given hope to academies in Nigeria that they could develop players, they could sell them for big money and have the reward, and change the lives of those players and their families and their communities. And we can see the multiplier effect of how one player can change a whole country. So I believe that what Nigerians want is somebody who can restore that hope, somebody who comes with that honesty. And I think I have all those qualities because I have performed at various different sectors in football and have delivered on those. And now as the FA chairman, I have seen how I've revived the hopes of many in the FCT. How I've restored football. We've run the best league in the country. So I feel that, and I had hoped that I would see other contestants.
Thank you very much. Your 90 seconds is up.
But
okay. Now, Dr. Christian, let's get to hear from you. Your final salvo.
Well, basically for me, I am coming to develop a viable football economy in Nigeria. An economy whereby every child who wants to play football can find a place where he or she can register and be trained on how to play football. It starts from the communities, identifying a school in each local government that will become a project for Nigerian Football Federation. I'm coming to change the analog system we use in administering football in Nigerian Football Federation by providing a system whereby the Nigerian Football Federation can operate in the contemporary times. We don't want to run a football federation that will be sleeping when other members of FIFA are waking up, where we can derive benefits from. I'm coming to run a football federation whereby human capacity development will be a factor that we will take very seriously. As we speak today, all the secretaries that are administering football in Nigeria has not been trained in the last 30 years. We need to train them on how best to organize football. And more importantly, I intend to run a Nigerian football that we have good governance structure, transparency, accountability, and integrity.
Thank you very much. Now to you, Pastor Ida Peterside. Let's hear from you.
When you look on this stage, everyone here is a stakeholder, maybe not just him. We call them stakeholders. We are the stake. They hold us. They should give us our football back to run. There's a lawyer here, there's a security officer here, but I played the game. And I think I feel the pain more than they do. They can bring the money, yes. They have wisdom, we agree. But they've been employing us for years. They employ the footballers, they fire us. They employ us, they fire us. We want to employ them. And fire them. He's a lawyer. If I have a case, I employ him, I fire him. If I have security challenges, I employ him, I fire him. It's our game. It is time they gave us back our game. All that we request. The reason why the union is in court is that everything they've been talking about is us. How to manage us, how to run us.
All right.
Let us run us. Give us our game to run.
Thank you very much, Pastor Ida Peterside. You've actually shown different sides to yourself today. You've been a surgeon, now a hire and fire. Okay? Barrister Musabadu, you fired us up.
Okay, Aaron, let me just say the reason why I want to be the president of the Nigeria Football Federation is because it's a natural progression from being the most successful general secretary to now being the president of the federation. Football is a national asset. It is the one that brings unity for all our people. It is one that makes everybody happy in this country. It transcends religion, tribe, wherever you come from, and that sort of thing. We must bring football back so that Nigerians will begin to be happy. It's very sad that we should be the #1 member association in Africa and in the top 20 in the world. But Senegal, a smaller country with less players, is having that position. We must build a national technical center where all our national teams will train. Not the situation now, we are owing 600 million, and by the end of this month, probably, we will have a debt of a billion naira to settle for hotels. We must have a technical center where all our national teams are going to train. And we must develop the women's game. We must also have a general secretariat where everybody feels safe, trusted, and secured to be the engine room to drive this process that we want. We must also include everybody.
Thank you very much.
Everybody must be included in such a way that all football stakeholders, supporters club, SWAN, Players Union, everybody is carried along in the administration of the game.
Thank you very much.
And we must do things with integrity.
All right.
Very important.
Thank you very much, Barrister Musabadu. David?
I think, like I said, the first thing is inclusion. And I think why we're seeing all these court cases here and there is because people feel they've been left out, they've not been carried along. There's nowhere in the world, in the football world, that you find out that people that, you know, the main stakeholders have been, you know, they're not allowed to do their job. You won't get the best. And here are the players that are they're the main actor, but in Nigeria's system, it seems they are the one that comes, you know, below. And, you know, without the players, myself, I won't be here. The administrators won't be here. The lawyers and all that won't be here. The security experts will be here. The media putting out content won't have anything to put up. And you are as an administrator that says, oh, listen, I'm the one, I'm the forefront, I'm the face. Who are you administering when the players are not there? So I'm also coming from the angle of being a player, an ex-player that's played the game, and also, you know, administering it. So I probably understand the pain of all these players, and also looking at the women's game, how, you know, how it has developed. Our coaches, don't forget, there are people that we've neglected. Dr. Meru mentioned one of the parts that I wanted to touch on, which is the last time that CAF has actually, you know, done anything around coaching education is 2017. And a young coach sent that to me, that David, look at this area, look at what has been. I said, listen, we're going to bring the likes of England FA to come in and help develop our young players. We've got Southampton already in. So there's a lot that we've got in plan to ensure that we develop our young players and put them on the right path.
I want to say many thanks to you, David Doherty, for honoring us today. Barrister Musa Amadu, Pastor Ida Peterside, Dr. Christian Emerua, and Adam Mukhtar Muhammad. It has been the 2022 NFF presidential debate, and I must say thank you to you out there for watching today. Of course, the race to fill in the seats of football's highest office still is on, and all eyes and attention will be focused on what will happen in Benin City on the 30th of September, where delegates and also congressmen will be voting for maybe one of these men. From me, Aaron Akirijola, and the entire crew, Ferdinand Duroa, A.B. Iyomon, Sylvester Fekun, Francis Archie, I want to say thank you very much, and do have yourself a lovely time.